Stoic purpose: what to do when life feels meaningless. There are moments when life seems to lose its color. You wake up, follow the same routine, complete the same responsibilities, and go to bed wondering what any of it was for. The things that once motivated you no longer feel important. Goals seem arbitrary. Success appears temporary. Even happiness can feel like a distraction from a deeper emptiness. When this happens, people often believe they need to discover one perfect purpose, a grand mission that will suddenly make everything meaningful. But the Stoics offered a different answer. They believed that meaning is not something hidden somewhere in the future, waiting to be found. Meaning is created through the way you respond to the present moment. You may not control what happens to you. You may not control how long a difficult period lasts. You may not even control whether your plans succeed. But you do control the character you bring to your circumstances. And for the Stoics, that is where purpose begins. The problem with waiting for meaning. When life feels meaningless, our first instinct is often to wait. We wait for inspiration. We wait for clarity. We wait for a better opportunity, a new relationship, a dramatic realization, or some external sign that tells us what we are supposed to do. The danger is that while we are waiting for meaning, we stop participating fully in life. We treat the present as if it were only a hallway leading to somewhere more important. Today becomes something to endure until the real life begins. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius warned himself against this way of thinking. He understood that life is not located in some distant future. Life exists only in the moment currently in front of you. You do not need to solve your entire existence today. You need to meet today well. That may sound small, but it changes everything. Purpose does not always arrive as a powerful feeling. Sometimes purpose is simply doing the next necessary thing with attention, honesty, and courage. You may not feel inspired to care for your health, complete your work, help your family, or keep a promise. But the value of an action does not disappear because motivation is absent. A meaningful life is not built only from moments of passion. It is built from ordinary decisions repeated with integrity. Focus on what is yours. One of the central principles of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within your control and what is not. Your reputation is not fully within your control. Your future is not fully within your control. Other people's opinions, reactions, loyalty, and understanding are not within your control. Even the results of your best efforts are not completely yours to command. What is yours? Your judgments. Your choices. Your actions. Your values. Your willingness to respond with patience instead of anger, discipline instead of avoidance, and courage instead of surrender. When life feels meaningless, the mind often becomes overwhelmed by questions it cannot answer. What if my efforts lead nowhere? What if nobody remembers me? What if I choose the wrong path? What if everything I build eventually disappears? Stoicism does not deny these uncertainties. It asks whether they are useful places to direct your energy. Instead of asking, will this matter forever, ask, is this the right thing to do now? Instead of asking, will I be recognized, ask, am I acting with integrity? Instead of asking, can I control the outcome, ask, can I control the quality of my effort? This shift does not eliminate uncertainty. It gives you a way to move through uncertainty without being controlled by it. Meaning is found through responsibility. Modern culture often connects purpose with personal excitement. We are told to follow our passion, chase our dreams, and find the thing that makes us feel most alive. There is nothing wrong with passion. But passion is unstable. It rises and falls. It can disappear during exhaustion, grief, failure, illness, or disappointment. Responsibility is more reliable. The Stoics believe that human beings find purpose by fulfilling their roles with virtue. You may be a parent, a friend, a partner, a colleague, a neighbor, a student, a teacher, or a member of a community. Each role gives you opportunities to practice patience, fairness, honesty, courage, and service. You do not need to become famous to live meaningfully. You do not need to change the entire world. You can begin by becoming dependable in the small part of the world that has been entrusted to you. Listen carefully when someone speaks. Keep the promise you made. Do your work properly, even when nobody is watching. Offer kindness without demanding repayment. Take responsibility for a mistake. Protect someone who is being treated unfairly. These actions may seem ordinary, but a meaningful life is usually constructed from ordinary acts performed consistently. Purpose is not always a destination. Sometimes it is a duty. Stop demanding that life feel good. One reason life feels meaningless is that we expect meaning to feel inspiring. We assume that if we are on the correct path, we should feel motivated, certain, energetic, and fulfilled. But many meaningful actions do not feel good while we are doing them. Caring for someone who is ill can be exhausting. Telling the truth can be uncomfortable. Developing discipline can feel repetitive. Leaving a harmful situation can feel lonely. Starting again can feel humiliating. Choosing what is right may bring no immediate reward. The Stoic path does not promise constant emotional satisfaction. It offers something stronger, self-respect. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you acted according to your principles, even when the experience was difficult. Feelings matter, but they are not always reliable instructions. You can feel lost and still take a wise step. You can feel afraid and still act courageously. You can feel empty and still behave generously. You can feel uncertain and still remain faithful to your values. Meaning often appears after action, not before it. You do not always wait until you feel purposeful to live with purpose. You live with purpose, and over time, your feelings begin to follow your actions. Use mortality as a guide. The Stoics regularly reflected on death, not because they were obsessed with despair, but because mortality creates clarity. When you remember that your time is limited, many distractions lose their power. Arguments become less important. Approval becomes less necessary. Postponed conversations become more urgent. The desire to appear successful becomes less meaningful than the desire to live honestly. Remembering death asks you a direct question. If your time is limited, what deserves your attention? Not someday. Today. This does not mean you must live with panic or force every moment to be extraordinary. It means you should stop treating your life as an unlimited resource. You are spending your life every day, whether you are conscious of it or not. You spend it on worry. You spend it on resentment. You spend it scrolling through other people's lives. You spend it replaying conversations that cannot be changed. You spend it avoiding work that would strengthen you. The Stoic practice of remembering death is an invitation to spend your time more deliberately. Call the person you love. Begin the difficult task. Say what needs to be said. Forgive what no longer deserves space in your mind. Do not wait for life to feel permanent before you start living sincerely. Turn suffering into material. Stoicism does not claim that suffering is always good. Some experiences are genuinely painful, unjust, and devastating. But the Stoics believe that even when hardship is not chosen, your response can still become a form of strength. An obstacle can become material for courage. A disappointment can become material for patience. A betrayal can become material for wisdom. A failure can become material for humility. Loneliness can become material for self-knowledge. This does not mean pretending that pain does not hurt. It means refusing to let pain have the final word. When life feels meaningless, ask yourself, what quality is this moment asking me to practice? Perhaps it is endurance. Perhaps it is honesty. Perhaps it is the courage to ask for help. Perhaps it is the discipline to begin again. Perhaps it is the humility to accept that you do not yet know what comes next. You may not have chosen the situation, but you can choose what you become through it. That choice is one of the deepest forms of purpose available to you. Build a daily practice of purpose. Purpose becomes more stable when it is turned into a practice rather than treated as a feeling. Each morning, ask yourself 3 questions. What is within my control today? What responsibility deserves my attention? What virtue will I need most? Perhaps you will need patience during a difficult conversation. Perhaps you will need discipline to complete work you have been avoiding. Perhaps you will need courage to make a decision you have postponed. Then, at the end of the day, reflect without cruelty. Where did I act well? Where did I lose control of myself? What can I do differently tomorrow? The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Stoicism is not about becoming emotionless or invulnerable. It is about becoming less governed by impulse and more guided by principle. Over time, these small reflections create direction. You may still experience uncertainty, but you will no longer be completely lost. You will have a compass. Your purpose is how you live. Perhaps there is no single sentence that explains why you are here. Perhaps your purpose will change many times. Perhaps some seasons of life will feel clear, while others feel empty and confusing. The Stoic answer is not to wait for permanent certainty. It is to live honorably inside uncertainty. Your purpose today may be to endure without becoming bitter. It may be to care for someone who depends on you. It may be to recover your health. It may be to complete one honest piece of work. It may be to apologize. It may be to leave behind what is destroying you. It may simply be to continue. A meaningful life is not necessarily a life filled with constant excitement. It is a life in which your actions increasingly reflect the person you have chosen to become. You cannot control whether the world gives you a clear explanation. You can control whether you meet the world with courage, justice, wisdom, and self-discipline. And perhaps that is enough. When life feels meaningless, do not demand that the universe reveal the entire plan. Return to what is yours. The next decision. The next responsibility. The next opportunity to act with character. Purpose is not always something you find. Sometimes it is something you practice. One choice at a time.